Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman. This is the broadcast for October 28th in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property, rejecting revolution, unless it's a peaceful revolution. I'm Sam Bushman. We follow the Prince of Peace, ladies and gentlemen. Sheriff Richard Mack's with me, the good sheriff, beating Bill Clinton at the Supreme Court 25 plus years ago, still standing, still traveling, still speaking for the sacred cause of liberty. Welcome back, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. It's great to be back with you this beautiful Tuesday morning. And I have a quote from the Supreme Court case.
You got it, brother. Let's hear it.
Listen to this, folks. Mack Printz v. United States Clinton administration. Residual state sovereignty was also implicit, of course, in the Constitution's conferral upon Congress of not all governmental powers, but only...
Say that again. Not all.
Not all governmental powers. But what kind did they get? Quoting again, but only discrete enumerated powers. Ha.
Hint, ladies and gentlemen, redneck style, short list, Sheriff.
Short list is... They don't even have 40 powers. And how many have they stolen and usurped? Thousands. And the way back to freedom is to take those back by the states and the counties and the sheriffs and the governors, obviously.
And we the people, ultimately.
And we have to have we the people. Jefferson said that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And he was talking to the American people. We must be vigilant. We have to be involved. We cannot be standing by watching the parade go by anymore. We've got to be involved in the process.
Roger that. And if you want to get a copy, a summary of the Supreme Court case decision so you can share it with your sheriff, your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues, your elected officials, the list goes on, cspoa.org to get your copy today. You get them for just pennies, and you can share them with anybody you like. It's all about education. That's the inside baseball when it comes to the proper role of limited government. Is the greatest 10th Amendment decision ever rendered that Sheriff Mack was involved in. I mean, it's inside baseball about how the country is supposed to work. The checks and balances delineated very clearly by Antonin Scalia and the majority. I'm going to say that again, the majority of the Supreme Court. And this court case still stands today. The reason that it stands so strong and so tall today is because really in that case, not only did these points hit home, well articulated by Antonin Scalia, but the best part about it is he also cites many other court case precedent-setting truths, Sheriff. That's really important to remember, because what they want to do is take your case and go, oh, that was just some weird sheriff's thing. Lies, false. No, it was broad. It was all-encompassing. It quoted other court cases. It made the case so ultimately plain that anybody who doesn't understand or accept it is either in denial, or they haven't read it, or they're not willing to accept the truth. I don't know which, but it's very broad. I mean, think about that. Not all powers are delegated to Congress. They're few and enumerated. That means the rest, now the 9th and 10th Amendment comes clearly into focus. You start to really understand. It was bold. It was clear, and it cited other court cases, Sheriff.
It did. It's specifically one that it did quote was the New York v. U.S. case of 1992, when the state of New York was being, quote, forced by the federal government to take and store their nuclear waste. And so New York says, you don't have any authority to force us to take that. We don't want it. And you have no authority over us. They went to court, and the Supreme Court sided with New York, that we're not puppets of the federal government, that we're not just part of whatever they want to do and tell us what to do. And the quote from that case was, we have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction.
Let me be clear. This is, when you talk about New York now, you're talking about the completely opposite side of the political spectrum. When it was their case, the same truth was reality as when it's your case, Sheriff.
Correct.
You couldn't come from opposite ends of the discussion, but the truth remains the same, right?
Absolutely correct. And, I was just a small town sheriff, but the court said it didn't matter if it was a sheriff or if it was the entire state of New York, that the government, federal government, was attempting to commandeer and control and force to do their will. That is not the role of the federal government. They are extremely limited. They only have enumerated and limited powers. And that's what the entire Constitution was designed to do: keep the federal government impotent, small, and out of our lives.
All right, folks, when you want inside baseball on the proper role of separation of powers and limited constitutional government with checks and balances, the Supreme Court case Mack Printz versus Bill Clinton and company. The summary is available at cspoa.org. It's inside baseball when it comes to the proper role of government. The reason I keep referring to baseball is, wow, people fell asleep in the middle of this sucker. The longest series game in baseball history, Sheriff? 18 innings?
The longest World Series baseball game in the history of America, in the history of baseball.
Wow.
18 innings. It was over 6.5 hours. And I fell asleep. I'm not sure what time it was when I did, but I fell asleep and I did not see the home run by Freeman. But he's done this before. And so he had a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. And wow, it was an amazing historic game, because the best player to ever put on a Major League Baseball uniform, Ohtani, who is from Japan, and I've seen him play when he played for the Anaheim Angels or the Los Angeles Angels about 3 years ago. I took my grandsons to a game in Anaheim, and he hit 2 home runs there. So I've seen this guy play live. He was then traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers a year later, and he makes $900 million a year just on his salary, and he makes,
which I can't comprehend.
Oh, I know, no way. And so anyway, Sam, I have always followed baseball since I was 9 or 10 years old. And my favorite team was the San Francisco Giants, and my favorite player was Willie Mays. And I have his picture on my wall right there. It is. See, far to the right on the camera? That is my favorite player of all time, Willie Mays. I saw him play in Candlestick Park when I was a young boy, and I was never the same. As far back as I can remember that I was old enough to pick up a baseball bat, I could hit a ball and I could hit it good, and I was good at baseball. I loved baseball, and I still do today. I've loved it my whole life. My grandpa and I played at the same college, Eastern Arizona College. He played there when it was Gila Academy, owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then later the state took it over, and that's when I played there, Eastern Arizona College. And I'm proud to say that I played ball at the same college that my grandpa did.
You got to love it. You know, America used to be the baseball, and that used to be the America's pastime. It got kind of replaced by basketball for a variety of reasons. One, that big old blackout in the 90s. I can't remember all the details, but it was a big old baseball showdown and got a lot of people who just simply gave up on the game. The other problem is these 18-inning games. I mean, who can watch a 6-hour game, Sheriff?
Not very many people. I turned the TV on while I was finishing my emails last night and some of my phone calls, and so I kept it down in the background. And I did not start when I did not turn on the TV when it had started. It was about 5 innings. And then I saw it go into the 14th inning. And then I remember something about the 16th, and that's the last I remember. So
so I'm not downing the game, but I will say this, all sports adjust their style of play, the rules, the guidelines in an effort to recalibrate interest. Is that the best way to describe it? They changed the shot clock. They changed for example, basketball used to be pretty much a 2-point game. Then they changed it and it became a 3-point game in a hurry. This gets the crowd excited. Anyway, baseball needs a few of those adjustments, Sheriff.
Well, they have a shot clock now in baseball.
Which is a start.
Yeah, and it's a start because it was so boring watching these guys fiddle with their baseball gloves and their batting gloves and
Spit,
spitting and
scratch.
taking so much time. And one of the worst ones was Bryce Harper, and he's one of my favorite players today. He plays for Philadelphia.
Yeah,
But
and Bryce makes a chunk of change too. He's the
oh
guy
yeah,
that was famous for mocking the journalist that mocked the Mormon. He's like, "Hey, you gonna go drink some beer after the game?" He's like, "That's a clown question, bro."
yeah, it's stupid.
And he did a great job kind of putting him in his place and saying, "Who do you think I am? You should know better than this. Don't even start with me on this." Great commentary. Anyway, all I'm telling you is baseball, one of America's pastimes. It brings good memories to people, right? Hang
Yes,
tight,
no.
good sheriff, and yours truly in seconds.
Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character, where educating both hearts and minds brings about academic excellence. There is a school in American Fork where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. Based on LDS principles and a love of country, now in our 39th year, American Heritage School is accepting fall enrollment for kindergarten through high school. What would you do for your child? Give them an education that will prepare them for life. Located east of the temple in American Fork, American Heritage School is a remarkable and affordable alternative. Visit us, find us online, or in the Yellow Pages. American Heritage School in American Fork.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, Richard Mack, former sheriff. He wants a partnership between citizens and law enforcement. It's called community policing. I endorse it 100%. He's the president of the CSPOA. I'm the president of, what do you call this, Redneck TV? All right. We talked about baseball. I want to talk about our travels a little bit because the sheriff and I haven't got together as much as we normally do recently. He was traveling. I was traveling. Let's hear your travelogue first, Sheriff.
Well, I just got back from Viva Las Vegas, baby. And yeah.
Did Elvis leave the building?
It was, well, I saw Elvis Presley Avenue, but I didn't see Elvis. And,
all right. Well, you're missing out. You're in the wrong place. I'll tell you about that later. Go ahead, sir.
I've actually impersonated Elvis before. True story.
All right. We're going to get a video of that, people.
I would like to find that. That was amazing. But anyway, the Eastern Arizona College drama director knew that I did a little bit of playing around with Elvis, and he said, we're doing the play Grease, and there's a costume change time. It's a downtime. And we need somebody to fill in, and we'd like you to do Elvis on stage while we're doing our costume change. So I pretended to be in the audience. Well, I was in the audience with my wife, and they said, hey, we're having a talent search tonight. Is there anybody who'd like to come up and sing? And I stood up, and I went up and I sang Blue Suede Shoes, baby. And,
all right, there you go.
I did. And so anyway, I've done that before. So it's not too far out of my repertoire of versatility. So,
right.
But the thing of it was this great event is we were all there supporting.
In Vegas without Elvis. Yes.
Without Elvis. But David Flippo, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Flippo, Flippo, is running for Congress, and Steve Tuminello was there, and he helped get this together. And he's big time behind Flippo,
And
uh,
Flippo's running in Nevada.
and he's running in a Democrat district now. And this guy's been extremely woke and out of control, supporting Biden during his 4 years of terror, bringing in terrorists and cartels and all the other criminals that came in through our open border. He supported all of that. So Flippo is a good candidate. He's experienced, retired from the military, and he invited some big people. And one was Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz was the concluding speaker. We had lunch with Matt and Lauren Boebert, and I think you know who she is, Congresswoman
Of course.
from
Yep.
Colorado. She's tiny as all get out. I didn't know
Tiny Mama. That's who she is, right?
She is tiny, but
Yeah.
she's a spitfire, man. She's spunky as all get out. I really enjoyed their company. We had a question answer, and I hate to say this, but no one else was asking questions, and so I asked quite a few. And one of them, Sam, you'll be glad to hear, is that Steve was nudging me with his elbow, and we had talked about it before we got there because Steve and I were in the same truck. We were in my truck. I picked him up at his condo, and he asked me, "Don't you think that we should bring up Tina Peters to them if we get a chance?" And I said, maybe we need to do it in a private session instead of there was 20 of us having a late lunch together. And that was really good. But it was all about discussion and finding out what's going on in America. And
I love it.
It was really good. Matt Gaetz actually has a TV radio show himself. And he and I exchanged phone numbers. And I'm going to call him and get on with this. And he and I are going to discuss what we can do for Tina Peters. And do you want me to tell you what he said about Tina?
I would love it.
Yeah. He said he's very aware of it, of her situation. A lot of people in Washington are. And he said that what the federal government needs to do is she's wanted as a witness in a federal crime. And the federal government needs to go get her out of jail because she's on their witness protection list, and they can take custody of her until the litigation is over, and they need to be doing that right away. So I'm going to talk to him and see who we need to contact to make that happen.
Well,
And
we'll do nothing but throw up all kinds of prayers and do everything within our power to make that happen, Sheriff.
Yes, I mean, she's been in prison for about a year now, and this is way crazy that she ever got 9 years in prison for doing what she tried to do to save.
Well, and here's what's interesting. Mike Lindell's still getting attacked and maligned and abused and everything else. But Smartmatic, though, over in the UK now is being investigated for fraud and for manipulated machines and everything else, too. So this is beyond America now. And the truth is coming out. Smartmatic, a bunch of clowns. And now it got sold to somebody else and everything else, trying to muddy the waters on this thing. They're in trouble if we could get to the real evidence here.
Yeah, well, there's, as you and I both know, we've been to a lot of meetings about election fraud with True the Vote and others. And it is absolutely unquestionable. The evidence is irrefutable, and there's mountains of evidence. And they've had to do a lot of work to try to hide this from the American people. And as now you have alluded to, the world has had election fraud. And we're not the only ones, obviously. So here we are now trying to lean on the work that Sheriff Darleaf has done in Michigan, in Berry County. He spent 4 years on this, and he's not stopping. And the people of his county are totally behind him. He just got elected last year, reelected for his 5th term. And So we're so proud of the work he's doing. We're still praying.
He's a straight talker. He's a truth teller. He's one of us for sure. Now, I'm concerned a little bit in the direction that the election issues are taking right now, though, Sheriff. I support 100% that there's election fraud and it needs to be stopped. I get it, and I agree. To me, though, the more we decentralize, the more we go back to precincts, the more we reject mail-in ballots, the more we reject the machines and go to hand count and same-day voting. And if you need to vote absentee, you request a specific ballot, etc. I'm for cleaning up the voter lists. I'm for transparency in all this. I'm even for video confirmation of, ballots cast, etc. There's a lot we can do, and we've gone over this literally for years now. But the latest turn of events concerns me. Here it is, and I want you to respond. The Trump administration announced that the Justice Department will monitor polling sites in California and New Jersey for the November 4th election. This decision follows requests from Republican Party officials in those states. The DOJ's, quote, Civil Rights Division will ensure what they call transparency and compliance with federal law at polling places. The DOJ already has sued several states seeking voter data so they can verify voter list accuracy. I'm not really comfortable with this, Sheriff, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the Constitution, elections are supposed to be state-driven and local, not federal government-controlled. And I don't trust the Justice Department to keep anybody righteous out of jail, and I don't trust them when it comes to, anybody righteous goes to jail. Anybody that's a criminal seems to be running around free, and they're calling it the Justice Department. I mean, we can't even have Kash Patel, as far as I can tell, speak out on anything from the Epstein files, which have now been eclipsed by this Charlie Kirk assassination. And now we're not getting the truth on that. And I mean, trust is at an all-time low and even going lower. So I'm concerned when we say the feds want to get involved in the elections, Sheriff. What do you say?
Well, I think you have a very good point there because, first of all, it is a state issue, and federal government can make laws all day long, but does that mean they take over what the states have rightfully been designed to have and control? Obviously, my Supreme Court says they do not. They cannot aggrandize their own powers. The 10th Amendment is very clear on that. The powers not delegated to the United States government are reserved to the states or to the people. The powers. So if there's a power in the Constitution that was not delegated to them, they cannot have it. And so the politics between the Democrats and Republicans have destroyed those protections because the state Democrats are willing to go along with the federal Democrats because they're buddies and they're in the same club. And then when the Republicans are in power, the Republicans do the same thing. So they can get all that federal money. And so it's just a continuing circle of corruption. And Washington was correct when he said the two-party system would be the bane of American liberty. We've got to take this back. The states have got to assume their proper positions. And I hate to say this, but Governor Newsom actually called it correct, because you've heard me say this for decades, Sam, because you've known me for decades, and I've said it just about the entire time. The first state that refuses to continue to send money to Washington, D.C. will be the most prolific and wealthy state in our union. And he's the one that said it.
You're right. And again, this is where we don't pick sides, ladies and gentlemen. When they're right, they're right. When they're wrong, they're wrong. And when California and some of these other places are concerned about their elections being taken over by the feds, hey, even if you like Trump and think it'll work well under the Donald, how well will it work when there's another clown in office that you disagree with? You got to remember, folks, these are double-edged sword topics, and you got to be aware of that. Hey, the good sheriff and I will be back in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live, hard-hitting, truth-telling news the networks refuse to use everywhere on all your favorite platforms. If there's one we're missing, let us know and we'll add it. How's that? Hang tight. Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump's week-long Asia trip finds him in Japan, where he has met with the country's newly elected prime minister. The president predicts that she'll go down in history as one of Japan's great prime ministers. The BBC's Shaima Khalil in Tokyo says the two leaders have signed a pair of cooperation agreements.
First, it was the implementation of the agreement toward a new golden age for the U.S.-Japan alliance. And this agreement, which has been described in the document as a great deal, all caps, will help both countries to strengthen economic security, promote economic growth. And then we also know that Takaichi and Trump signed a document of cooperation over critical mineral supplies. Again, a very crucial point between the two countries, given the tight spots that many countries are in, including the United States, because of the restrictions on exports from China.
Hurricane Melissa continues closing in on Jamaica. Landfall not far off.
Melissa is a powerful and dangerous Category 5 storm. It could be the strongest hurricane to hit the island since record-keeping began in 1851.
I have gotten so many calls, and I have been on my knees in prayer.
Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the people there are preparing for the hardship ahead.
Correspondent Ed Donahue says Melissa could hit the island with winds of more than 170 miles per hour, dangerous storm surge, and also more than 3 feet of rain possible. War Secretary Hegseth announcing the U.S. military carried out 3 strikes yesterday in the waters of the eastern Pacific, targeting boats suspected of carrying drugs. 14 people killed, 1 survivor. Day 28 of the government shutdown. There's no end in sight. As of now, no plan for another Senate vote on a Republican bill to end the shutdown. Democrats have repeatedly rejected that bill. Watching Wall Street, the Dow is up 197. More on these stories, townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-0141.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation. and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
Back with you live, Sheriff Richard Mack, CSPOA.org. Yours truly continue. We're talking about the Good Sheriff's travel log. He went to Las Vegas. Elvis was not in the building, but They did have a great time. Matt Gaetz was there, several other incredible people. And the good news is they're working on the Tina Peters case. That's why I kind of went off on the elections and said, listen, I don't want the feds in charge of the elections. That's for sure. Remember, if we're going to have the feds involved in the elections, I thought the American people wanted to stop the steal. And so they went to the United States Congress. I think this was called January the 6th. And their goal was to say, Congress, we need you to investigate this. And Congress was derelict in their duty. The government created a provocateur event that derailed the whole thing, called a lot of good, honest American patriots criminals, threw them in jail. Then the Democrats took hold of it, blamed it on the Republicans, blamed it on Donald Trump and MAGA, denied Donald Trump a lot of the access that he had to his social media tools and everything else. And in the end of the day, we had, in my opinion, the Justice Department administer dishonest, immoral, pretended justice. And that's the problem. The bottom line, though, is I haven't seen the Republicans do anything to remedy that. Yeah, they let out a few of the January 6th people. Great. I'm appreciative of that. But what about getting to the bottom of the truth on that, though? There was literally hundreds of government agents involved, Sheriff. The list goes on and on. The election fraud got Tina in jail. It got the January 6th. I mean, the Democrats or the communists or the socialists, whatever word you want to use for these people, a lot of the words fit. Some of them they may claim don't apply, but in my opinion, to my humble opinion, I can use any of these words I choose. This is America with free speech, and I quantify it as my opinion. But I look at this and go, Congress has done nothing, Sheriff. Nothing.
Well, that seems to be the case every year, and it just...
But they promised this year would be way different, right?
But yes, and they do. They make all these promises, and I just see so much corruption, and the victim of their corruption is the liberty of all people. And this is really the sad thing about it. Their loyalty to their party, both Republicans and Democrats, supersedes our Constitution, supersedes the principles of liberty upon which America was founded, supersedes civil rights of all Americans, and it just keeps us spiraling down this cesspool.
So here's an example to make your point. Listen to this headline. Okay. Speaker Mike Johnson has placed the U.S. House of Representatives on what they call indefinite hiatus amidst a government shutdown with no policy debates or votes for over a month. That's according to the New York Times. Now, like or hate the New York Times, they're pointing out a truth. And they're pointing out, in my opinion, a very concerning truth. We got to debate what it means to be in session or not, right? Or to be in active, or they've never been dismissed really properly. They've never used the right constitutional wording for this. They're kind of playing word games to get around it. But when you had, them walk out for their summer recess, whatever you want to call it, in August, they walked out early because they didn't want to deal with the Jeffrey Epstein file voting. Then now they're on hiatus. Literally, they've had a 10-month session, and 2+ months of it, they've been flat out AWOL. So here's the question. Constitutionally, can they just do that? I mean, what if you did that and you worked for somebody? You'd be fired in a heartbeat. At some point, they're not working for the American people. They're stealing our tax dollars. They're not at work. They're holding the government hostage. At some point, economically speaking, and at some point, from a national security point of view, air traffic controllers, the military, et cetera, at some point, it becomes a national security crisis that they've caused, right?
Yeah, it is. And, on the other hand, he can call him back anytime he wants. And if there's any movement that so far, the Republicans have put several different bills to get funded or partial funding for military, and now they're really
but they're clown bills. They're clown bills. And the reason I say that is because, yes, they're smaller than their normal omnibus spending bills.
Right.
But they always retain a poison pill. So, yeah, we're going to fund the traffic controllers and the military and the ICE agents. Okay, that's a bill. Yeah. Ron Johnson put it in place. Fine. But you've just poisoned the punch on this thing. Because who's going to go if you're a Democrat for the ICE agents? They're against that. So what you got to do is just come back and say, we're going to pass a single traffic controller bill. Are you for or against the traffic controllers getting their paychecks? We call this a national security issue. We call this an economic reality issue. Right now, there's over 7,000 flights that have already been canceled over this, and people's lives are in danger. Okay, to me, you pass that single issue bill. You don't muddy the water and put the poison pill in there. Oh, the ICE agents. Now, no one's going to agree. Of course, it's going to fail. You got to do single issue bills, and you got to be clear about it. And then if they don't go along with giving the traffic controllers their paychecks, when you bring out the national security concerns, the safety concerns, then you just beat them over the head with this relentlessly, not physically, but virtually or figuratively, or you say, how can you be against the traffic controllers getting their checks? 7,000 flights have already been canceled. This is an economic disaster. This is a national security issue. This is a safety issue for the American people. I mean, you could take that sucker to the bank. Yeah, and do we have to have a 60% majority to pass single bills like that?
Yeah, why? I've never understood that. Why do they need 60%? It's just a bill.
Right.
So I don't get why funding bills have to be 60%.
Well, and why do they have to be omnibus, though? Why do they have to be such? The reason you want 60% is because they're massive. But take out all the poison language, take out all the special interests, take out all the, whatever they call that, pork barrel, bring home the bacon, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, stop all that. Do you support the traffic controllers? Yes or no? There's a single one-sentence bill. We are going to fund the traffic controllers and pay their paychecks per normal. Boom. Yes or no? And if you're against it, we're going to absolutely eat you for lunch when it comes to the media. Okay, why don't they get that done, Sheriff? It's so simple, and it can be done because they don't want to. They want to muddy the waters. They want to play these games. And that's why at some point the question is, what do we do? I think our only rightful remedy, constitutionally speaking, is to wait till the next election to vote these clowns out. But in my mind, almost every one of them need to go away.
I've already said that. Fire everyone in Congress. These selfish little immature babies that can't get along and cannot see where the real responsibility lies, and that's with the American people. They put political posturing, and that's too innocuous a word. They put political corruption and cheating and hate above the American people, and they do. And politics has completely destroyed any semblance of sensibility and common sense and work ethic that they're supposed to be serving us. It's obvious they do not. Republicans and Democrats alike do not care about us. They do not care what's going on. They just want to win. And there's several winnings.
If they want to win, they need to go about it like I'm saying, though. Just imagine if Mike Johnson said, hey, the government shut down because we members of Congress are getting paid. We feel like we owe you an honest day's work. I'm going to demand we're in session every day because we're getting paid. If you want to walk away and go on permanent hiatus, fine. Stop your paychecks and we'll talk about it. But don't walk away and go home and throw your sucker in the dirt while you're getting a paycheck. While you're getting paid, I expect you to show up to work. And if you don't, you need to be fired. But at the same time, I go, Mike Johnson could not only say we're working every day for the American people, he could put up single issue bills and either get successes that he can start to rack up or put the Democrats really on the defensive by saying, look, we've tried to get these 25 issues that are nonpartisan. They're not political. Funding the air traffic controllers, nobody in their right mind can say that's political, right?
Well, of course. They're vital.
I mean, this is about making sure the friendly skies stay friendly. It's about making sure that we pay people for doing a day's work. To not pay them for doing an honest day's work is dishonest. So, you could take issues like that till the cows come home and just hammer them through and either have a ton of successes to use in midterm for the elections, or you could just show absolutely unequivocally who's at fault here. But when you walk away and go home and continue to cash your paycheck, you look like the clown, Mike. I'm not trying to be rude or offensive or attack anybody. I'm trying to help people take the partisan politics out of this. It's now about the American people that hired you. Get back to work, people, and do it now. Sheriff?
Amen to that, Sam. And you're right, because you've heard me say it lots of times. And every time this happens, I say the same thing. Fire all of them. And there's no way that these selfish politicians should be taking a paycheck while the government is shut down. But they do, all of them, and both Republicans and Democrats. And so it is such an outrage. I don't know.
But why is the president gallivanting to Japan and all around the world while this is happening? He should be back meeting with congressional members every single day going, guys, we've got to come to common sense on this thing. Where's the leadership is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't think that's such a bad idea. If Congress isn't going to do anything, he might as well get to work. I don't know.
Well, he should get to work helping the traffic controllers keep the skies safe. I mean, after all, he flies safely to Japan, doesn't he? Hang tight.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Experience the untamed spirit of the American West with Range Magazine. Each issue is a visual journey featuring award-winning photography and compelling stories that capture the heart of ranching and rural life. Stay informed on the challenges and triumphs of those who live and work on the land. Subscribe today and receive quarterly editions delivered to your doorstep, and join a community that cherishes the enduring legacy of the Western frontier. Visit rangemagazine.com to subscribe.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
All right, back with you live, Sheriff. So I just have a problem with this. I mean, I understand why Donald Trump's going around the world trying to make the world great and trying to stop war and supposedly, but I don't get it. I think that if we're not careful, we end up meddling in foreign affairs that we ought not. Meanwhile, he travels safe because you got special privilege for Air Force One and all that. But in my mind, the president needs to get home. If we have a baseball strike, the president would be home going, I'm going to solve this baseball strike, for crying out loud. We got to. What about the government strike, buddy? What about the shutdown of the government by these clowns? I mean, somebody needs to come and say, you guys need to get back to work now, and I'm going to make sure that you do. And there's things that the president could actually do to ensure accountability on that, right? I mean, I don't understand why he's not dealing with this. Every other issue in the world, he wants his fingers in the pie. And this one, he remains strangely quiet. What's happening?
Well, I don't think he's quiet about it. I think he's made a lot of accusations, especially at the Democrats. But I believe you have a good point there.
He's quiet in the sense that he doesn't do anything to solve this from a nonpartisan point of view. He's just attacking everybody else and making it even more of a partisan issue.
But even what Pam Bondi's doing, she's going after Letitia James. She's going after Bolt, and people. Yeah, they're criminals. But I would really like to see the what you alluded to earlier, the FBI agents that were plain clothes on January 6th, and the provocateurs that were there that were actually federal agents, the corruption that happened in Mesa, Colorado, going after Tina Peters, who is now in prison. That should be investigated by the federal government.
And all the January 6th, like how come Congress never looked into the elections, though? Just because an event happened and they didn't do it that night, I get it. But shouldn't they bring that back to the table and accept the American people's will that, hey, we want this looked into? They haven't done that either.
There's never been a federal investigation on election fraud. There's never been a federal investigation on treason. The people in the Biden administration who actually opened the borders, lied and said that the borders are secure. Everyone knew that was a lie. But regardless, there's never been an investigation. So far, there's been about 6 sheriffs that have investigated election fraud. No one from the federal government. And so that's why I say.
And the sheriffs have been shut down by all other branches of government who don't want the truth to come out regarding these elections.
Just about, yeah. I mean, Mark Lamb did a criminal investigation, wrote it up and everything on Alejandro Mayorkas. And so Biden already gave Alejandro Mayorkas a pardon.
But you got to debate. Can he even give those pardons if he didn't give them?
But that doesn't do it for the states. The states can still investigate him. That's only a federal pardon.
That's right, but it's not even a pardon if it's an auto pen that somebody else did on his behalf. It's not even. Yeah. We're not. Look, we got to dig it. This is what I mean. We don't even have the answer on Barack Obama's birth certificate. With Trump promised what in the 2012 kind of election time or 11 time frame, he was going to dig into that. Let's get that. We never got JFK files. We never got Jeffrey Epstein files. We're told we're going to go in and audit the Fed. We're going to go ahead and look at the Fort Knox and see what's there. I'm still waiting for them to ship me a headlamp to roll in there, Sheriff.
Yeah, no kidding. That's one that really went quiet. Really quiet was going and auditing the gold in Fort Knox.
Why?
And there can only be one reason, Sam.
Because it ain't there.
I even asked Matt Gaetz this, and he and Lauren Boebert were amazingly quiet on that one.
Yeah. Why would they be quiet on that one?
Because
what are they afraid of?
They don't want to expose something that would.
They don't want to be JFK'd, huh?
I don't think it's that necessarily, but maybe it is. But I believe it's a simple economic issue.
They don't want to be Steve Stockman.
It's not there. It's not. The gold is not there. And if they went in and it was live television and the gold is not inside, of course they could AI it and pretend that it is. But the issue is it would crash the dollar immensely. And it would cause a huge depression in America. And I think that's why they pulled back. I think it was just economic issue.
Well, and the bottom line is all you do when that happens is you continue to erode trust. And the more you continue to erode trust, eventually you'll end up with a civil war in America because people will not tolerate being lied to forever. At some point, there will be a Rubicon. Once crossed, it will be disaster. It's not that I'm asking for that. I'm just telling you that will be the case. For example, while we can't get Tina Peters out of jail, for some reason, Donald Trump pardoned this guy named Shangpeng, CV Zhao. I don't know how you say this guy's name. He's the founder of this finance group. It's called Binance, Binance. And Donald Trump gave this guy a pardon. The Justice Department and the Treasury Department reported that Binance data, I guess they got caught in a lie and a scandal, and they had to pay $4.3 billion. Ooh. And then they agreed to accept federal monitors for several years. This guy went to jail. Now Trump just pardoned the guy. Well, Trump's connection to Zhao includes overlap with cryptocurrencies. Liberty World Financial and the Donald Trump family's tied in with this guy. Anyway, you look at this thing and you just go, okay, so we can't get Tina Peters out, but we can get this guy pardoned?
Well, Tina's not federal, so it would be real easy for Trump to get Tina out, but she's not federally charged with anything. And again, here's the state charged her, and the state say that they're not even in charge of the elections.
Yeah, but if the feds are going to come back and say we're going to control elections in California and different places, we're going to monitor them, then why not monitor what happened to Tina Peters? And if the state's out of line on this, then we can do something about it.
Yeah, they should. They absolutely should.
And you say, well, they can't do anything about it. It's a state issue, the elections. No, but you can simply say we're not going to give a penny to the state of Colorado until this gets resolved.
Right.
We can say that, we can do all kinds of things that could change the game there if we wanted to.
Well, they could do a criminal investigation on the people who prosecuted her and put her in prison. And then they could say this was a legitimate thing she did because election fraud is so widespread. She was simply trying to secure the ballots, the elections. That's all she did.
Well, since you got cash on speed dial, call them up and ask them what the status is.
Well, I might have somebody do that for me.
I'm just saying it's very interesting. Not only that, while the government's shut down, they're cranking up new government agencies. Did you know that, Sheriff?
No, gee, come on.
Yes, sir. Come on, listen up. The DOT, Department of Transportation, will establish a new government division called the Unifying Transportation Infrastructure Council.
Okay.
DTIC is what it's called. The Daily Caller's got the deets on this sucker. And the council aims to foster a, quote, new golden age of infrastructure by focusing on aesthetic and functional designs for major projects.
The infrastructure.
Like highways, transit hubs, that kind of stuff. And so it's going to be awesome. Problem is, I don't see where the authority came from that. Congress is on a hiatus, so they're not doing it. I don't know who's, thinks they can do this. But I'm more interested in the traffic controllers getting back to work than I am beautifying the country, Sheriff. I just am.
Yeah, they need to DOGE that new DOT, whatever it is. Yeah.
Anyway, it's disaster. I don't know. This is what I mean. I don't know what's going on. At the end of the day, all the Republicans will have to say for the next election in 2026 midterms is, well, we're better than the other guys. The other guys that ruin the country, that blow us up into communism and destroy the economy. It'd be horrible. You got to vote for us. But they don't have a record to run on, Sheriff. President Trump's done a lot of good in many ways, a lot of bad in many ways. But Congress has virtually done nothing that I can see that they can point to. The big, beautiful boondoggle is the only thing they can look at. It's been disaster.
Sam, that's every year, every 2 years that we vote for Congress, we vote for House of Representatives and Senators. Every 2 years, it's the same thing. They have like a 9% approval rating, but we reelect 90% of them.
And I really had hoped that this time would be different, Sheriff.
Yep.
I really did. I really hoped and prayed that we'd see some kind of a change that would be different, Right. Is Trump preparing for war against Venezuela, you think, Sheriff?
I hope not. But what he's doing is very unique and courageous in some ways. I think appropriate, but without any involvement with Congress, I don't know how you go and start blasting these boats out of the ocean.
Well, you don't have constitutional authority. So Judge Andrew Napolitano wrote a column about this just recently, and it's called this: A Trumpian Headache. Judge Andrew Napolitano, and he basically talks about this very topic about these speedboats, and he simply says this: the protections of due process are so important that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. These people aren't getting due process. We're not at wartime. What gives them even authority to do this?
Well, okay, so if they're bringing those boats into America and I stop them before they get here, I believe that's appropriate. That's why I said that. And
I guess the question is how far away and on what authority and with what money. See, Congress is in charge of market reprisal and stuff, right?
How far away doesn't matter if those boats are headed to America. And,
well, first off, you can't guarantee they're headed to America. That's an assumption until they get here.
Well, I think there's some past history that shows that that's exactly where they're going.
Well, that is, but that doesn't mean the next boat's going there. I mean, if we go there, then we can start becoming the thought police. We got to be really careful here. We need Congress. Congress is in charge of war and market and reprisal and everything else. And with Congress derelict in their duty and missing in action, the president needs to get them back, not act for them, is what my general point is. Could there be a threat there, and does it need to be dealt with? Absolutely. It's how we go about it, in my opinion, that is critical. All right, for Sheriff Richard Mack, CSPOA.org. Become a member of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association today, would you please? CSPOA.org. lovingleberty.org. That's how we train sheriffs, public officials, and the public on the proper role of constitutional government. I'm Sam Bushman, lovingleberty.net. God save the Republic of the United States of America.